Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back. And I almost said, welcome back for more punishment.
Oh, well, the news is punishment. Absolutely. But there's just so much going on. And again, we want to keep you guys abreast of everything that's going on as we've been running around, just really busy as so many people are. We're in that time where it's like, if there's anything that we really need, I don't want it to be a need that we haven't fulfilled. So, we're just running to keep ourselves kind of topped off in so many ways, because you just don't know when things are going to really pop. They are going to pop, and you're not going to have to wait too long for them to pop. And I wanted to share this with you. If you guys aren't familiar with Monkey Works, probably the best out there for tracking the movement of planes, and especially with a military intent. So he is one that we do watch on a fairly regular basis. And so with this one, he was talking about federal training that was going on in northern Texas concerning a mass radiation event, what to do, and in particular in hospitals, like hospitals that might be inundated with people all of a sudden that have been exposed to radiation. And so you could obviously see where this is going, or what the idea is behind that. Obviously, we are really building up out there. You can't cover everything. You'd have to have a channel that was 24/7, 365 to cover all the little things, that could end up being huge things. With everything that's going on right now in so many different layers and levels, this is again why we've been saying, going back till 2017, I think the first time we really spoke about the fact that we are going to be facing in this country, or what we feel is going to happen, is we're going to be looking at civil war, or something like a civil war / revolution going on, as well as fighting a third world war. And we've been very consistent, and I know those out there, like our brother Keith up in Rhode Island. Hi, Keith. Just a quick hi.
Hi, Keith.
Because he is somebody that's been with us for years, and he is like, always putting out there how consistent the message has been. Well, 2024 is go year. It's absolutely go year. And so if you guys don't follow Monkey Works and you really want to be on the know with military plane movement and unusual plane movement in general, he's a really good one to keep track of. He also touched on this, which I saw yesterday, and then I forgot to include it, but I am including it now. This is from First Responders Media. This is a migrant who illegally crossed into the U.S. He says he was threatening him, saying, "You're going to find out who I am very soon." It's the way that he said it. And when Cindy heard it, it made me feel like, oh boy, that was not a good one to lose track of as far as a post, because she again thinks this is much more of a critical one to take into account. So let me play this first, and then we'll get Cindy's impressions.
By the way, if you are smart enough, you would know who I am. But you are really not smart enough to know who I am. But soon you're going to know who I am.
Wow, very easy. The entitlement.
No, believe it, I'm much better than that.
The entitlement, guys. Wow.
By the way, if you are smart enough, you would know who I am. But you are really not smart enough to know who I am. But soon you're going to know who I am.
Wow.
Yeah, he's military. Absolutely. He's military. And I don't know. He's definitely from the Middle East. Is he from Syria? Is he from Iraq? Yeah, but this is exactly the case. And my guess is, because of his age and everything and the feel he has, he's probably not what we would call a private. He's probably a little bit higher up as far as that goes, and will be helping to organize the massive amounts of sleeper cells that are inside the country.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I picked up. This guy, he's not one to necessarily do things himself, but he does give orders. And that's the problem. You know, those that are taking orders and give orders, they don't have the consciousness isn't there. They're there to do a job. And this is what I felt with him. And then when you look at the energy and you look at the aura, the red, the color red that just beams from his energy body, there's a lot of anger stored in there. And I wouldn't mouth off to this guy. Absolutely not, you know, and I just don't think it's a smart thing to do. Not that I have respect for him, but I know when to keep myself safe. So this is a situation where I do think we'll probably, bet you we'll see more of him if we continue to see the uptick.
Yeah, Hezbollah maybe. Hezbollah feels right with him, but again, it's not far off when they trigger these people to go. And what will it look like? I don't think we could even conceive of what it's going to look like. Not to be overly dramatic. It's just you have to recognize the sheer numbers. They are at a peak. There are more people coming through now than there was last year at this time. There were more people coming through now than there was at the peak of last year, which was record-setting. There are millions of foreign combatants ready to go. We've already been just completely invaded. And at the same time, of course, they are wanting to drive as many of the people that are in the country to defend the country away, and as much supplies away. Again, we've all talked about that. How they tell us if war broke out and we were directly involved, we'd only have a week of ammo, and that was a while ago. That was months ago. They said that. Now they are starting to put in orders for more weaponry, but it takes time to have the supply chain go down, the logistical end of it. Oh, think about that. Supply chain logistics. And we're going to touch on a few different things here as we unroll this. Cartel operative with over 40 illegal entries in just the last 2 years. La Linea is the brutal enforcement wing for the Juarez cartel. Border Patrol can catch them, but then they just get released 40 times. 40 times. These are stone cold killers. These are stone cold killers. They have no problems at all pulling triggers or whatever. And just come to the reality too that the cartels are going to play a very, very large part in the infiltration and the war going on inside the U.S. When we read the comments, we try to respond as much as we can. We had somebody else was saying, I'm in Southern California. Do you think I should, move to a different location? And, family members in Alabama and Washington, I think they said. Everywhere is going to have its challenges. If you're up in Washington State, this is where, again, timelines can change and visions may never come true. But that's, part of what I saw, and not just me, but others. Many have seen an infiltration through Washington State over the Canadian border by Chinese and Russian troops, and others will be there too. North Korea will be there. There'll be so many different countries. But also, down in the southern border, which is obvious, and into Florida as well. Just look from the perspective of if you were a general, where would you invade the U.S.? Where would you, go and utilize as opportune areas? And then you don't really want to be in those areas. That's the bottom line. And if you're listening carefully, not just us, but all these other people out there, these preppers and other awake and maybe a little bit more towards the honest side, people in the political arenas and towards the honest side, obviously politics is all about, twisting and distorting things, unfortunately. it's becoming clear that every time they talk about how war is inevitable between Russia, China, and the U.S., NATO, the timelines keep coming nearer and nearer to the now. And now, if you're listening today, it's much nearer than it was just a week ago. This is all rolling and unraveling very, very quickly. So, make your preparations, and, try to secure wherever you are, your safety as best as you can. Of course, every area is different. This is a little bit too long a video to play the whole thing. But when you look at it, it's just another one. Absolutely must share everywhere. This is California, Iranian. There's every enemy of the U.S. and NATO is coming into the U.S. and the NATO, or are already here. And so you're seeing vehicles coming over. This is so organized. The vehicles, these are military people. These are military people that will be going and taking over cities and towns. And where are they going to take over? Well, anything that is of military value. When you look at what's going on, this is the biggest operation since Troy and the Trojan War, as and as far as this type of thing goes, it's huge. You do not, if you can avoid it, you don't obviously want to be in areas where maybe you already have a cartel problem. They're going to outwardly control. They are going to take total control over those parts of the big cities. And we are going to have open battles going on between our National Guard and our police officers with all these sleeper cells that are awakening.
The sleeper cells, they're growing and growing and growing. Whether or not someone decides to prepare or do something different, the plan is definitely on the way. It's going to happen. So that's why we're just telling people, be ready, be prepared. The things that they've shown, like when Gaza, everything first happened in Gaza, that situation there, and other places, that's kind of what I feel is going to be happening in the bigger cities. And I don't like to say that. I don't like to scare people, because sometimes people, they can't get out. They might be stuck, and in that case, we've always said, build your energy body, build your light body. And there might be things that higher self knows that we don't understand, but you might be protecting other people that are in that area. If you have no way to get out, then definitely build that light body, and just be prepared. Be prepared.
6 bodies discovered Tuesday and Wednesday in a desert field outside L.A. Unclear what went on there. There's more and more of that going on all the time. As I think what's happening now, and there's also an awful lot of home break-ins. There's a lot of gangs and cartels doing this, working in unison, where one person will follow. They'll follow a person in their car and scope it out, and then there'll be a whole bunch of them that drive up and drop out. This is something that is bigger, I think, than what most people understand. There's a lot of missing truckers, and it's not just guys that are trying to run away from a bad situation at home, or maybe they ran into some sort of substance abuse. No, there's something else going on here, and I do think, again, well, if you have, like I was listening to them talking about this one truck that was loaded with pigs, hogs, and the truck and the trucker went missing, never found. If you want to feed an army that's inside of this country, there's a lot of different ways you can do it. And, there have been reports going back years of encampments that had languages that are of the BRICS nations variety in print on signs, where it seemed like they were training people for operations that now are going to be coming to fruition. Think about that too. Truckers are always a target. And yeah, absolutely. It doesn't have to be an arms shipment. It could be a food shipment. It could be a lot of different things. There's going to be an awful lot of supplies that are needed for this massive army that's inside the country already. So, there is a big increase in missing truckers right now, and I thought that was something that was very, very telling.
Oh, I do too. I saw there David Pilates. He's one that is covering it. That he's somebody to watch for sure.
Yeah. Now going on to the Civil War drums, you have Texas Governor Abbott released a statement outlining states' rights to constitutional self-defense when dealing with a lawless president. James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, and the other visionaries who wrote the U.S. Constitution foresaw that states should not be left to the mercy of a lawless president who does nothing to stop external threats like cartels smuggling millions of illegal immigrants across the border. Hold the line, Texas. It's getting clearer and clearer that, this is going to perhaps be the first shots of that Civil War, because it looks like this is a not back down situation. And Monkeyworks was saying, in his opinion, because he is from Texas, I think he's from Dallas,
Maybe.
that you're going to see citizens coming together, banding together, whether they form a militia or just simply are going to take things into their own hands. He thinks that you are going to see that. Again, I don't think we should ever make the situation worse, but at the same time, I've seen a lot of these videos, brutal videos, and not just from the U.S., from many different countries, whether it's Italy or Sweden or Switzerland or France. There's been horrible attacks by some of the ones that are coming in illegally that you don't even want to talk about the details. But they're also, sometimes they're random and chaotic, and other times they look like they are planned and organized to a very high degree. So then we have this. As you see, Joaquin Castro, Governor Abbott, is using the Texas National Guard to obstruct and create chaos at the border. If Abbott is defying yesterday's Supreme Court ruling, POTUS needs to establish sole federal control of the Texas National Guard now. Congressman Greg Casar, I agree with Joaquin Castro. If Abbott is defying yesterday's Supreme Court ruling, POTUS needs to establish sole federal control of the Texas National Guard. That would lead to probably a Civil War situation.
Well, yeah, because they've polarized the situation. They've made people so upset about other people who really are very dangerous coming in here. And they've made that so obvious that what could happen and what's, in line to happen. And then they create a situation where people are very, very inflamed about it. And, it has to do with letting the people destroy themselves, while they just stand back and they send some tweets like this to really rile people up more and more, and I say we have to continue to work together. Yes, there's going to be differences of opinion, but somehow, some way, we need to send out hope for everyone that they're going to be safe. People are going to be protected. Our country is going to be protected, and that it's, that this government is not going to cause the chaos that they want to cause, because I think they're lining things up for a lot of destruction, and it saddens me.
Well, if you look at the DEA GEL numbers, it's not a pretty picture what they're trying to create. Here you have Arizona Republican Party Chair Jeff DeWitt caught on secret recording trying to bribe Kari Lake not to run for Senate. Yeah, he says there are very powerful people who want to keep you out. Now, is this completely real, or is this part of fanning the flames to create that Civil War thing going again? Absolutely, but at the same time, this is how the power structure really does everything. They truly they bribe left, they bribe right. And here we're seeing more and more calls of the realization that people in the UK need to understand that they're probably going to draft you. And it ain't going to be just the UK. But then again, it depends on how fast things move. It really, really does. As you see this tweet, we're up next for the meat grinder as Brits face conscription. This, and I see comments of the usual sort. See, the problem is in the US and in the UK, I think we got this feeling like everything always happens over there, but it never happens over here. And you have a lot of people that think, things are getting bad, but it can't happen here. It can't happen here because it hasn't happened here in a long time. If you're talking about Britain, then you got to go back to, obviously WW2. So it's been 70, plus years, 80 years. It's understandable when you have generations that haven't seen conflict on their soil. Yet other countries, like if you're from Afghanistan, you know nothing but conflict. And so many of these other countries that now, so many of their citizens that can't stand us are in our country waiting for their revenge because they've watched their whole families be destroyed and bombed and etc. Yeah, this is exactly what the system does. And it is a meat grinder. And it is a profit-making machine for the military-industrial complex, which really is the same thing as the banking cabal. Ultimately, it's all part of the same system. Israeli tank rounds strike Gaza UN shelter, leaving at least 9 dead, so says a relief agency there. It's the average citizens. And then they conscript us to fight people that have suffered under the system, like we have suffered under the system. And then, it's just insanity. The key, the only way to get out of it is to say no on a level that they've never seen. If everybody refused on both sides, and again, we understand how many people are sleepwalking and still are under the illusion that whatever country they're in, they're very, very patriotic. They think it's the best in the world. Doesn't matter what country it is. That's again, what is patriotism? It's not understanding the big picture. It really is. It's not understanding the big picture because it's used as a tool to send, Johnny off to fight somebody who is, being sold the same thing over on the other side. And in reality, often, the people that are shooting each other could become good friends and get along and be doing constructful things together instead of destroying each other and creating more hatred. It's the Hatfields and the McCoys. It's a blood feud that ends up in some areas of the world lasting for generations on top of generations. And it's just sad. But it's all very Machiavellian, and it's all about maintaining the power structure.
Well, a lot of people, I think the more they understand this, they can come together and look at that, quote, other side, unquote, and understand that, hey, maybe I can get along with this person. You never know until you put your shields down and you try. You just don't know.
And we've talked about instances before that have been documented during war where there's been breaks and, sometimes people break out singing. Sometimes they even get together and laugh and have share family pictures and stories and stuff. And then, then again, their commanders the next day set them off to kill each other again. It's insanity. When you understand the system of the world, taking part in it in that sense is pure insanity.
So, and look at the definition of insanity again. You continue to do the same thing over and over and over, expecting a different result. And this is our controllers. I don't even think they expect a different result. They know they're going to get the same result, and that's what they want to do. So you have perfect definition and execution of insanity.
So the Yemeni armed forces say that There was a direct hit on an American vessel, forcing 2 American commercial vessels to withdraw and return. Several of their ballistic missiles struck their targets despite warships' attempts to intercept them. And there was other reports about a UK ship being hit. Of course, the US and the UK deny any ships were hit at all, but again, we can't trust either side. But we do see a lot of things that are being shared out in the open. Over in Belgorod, there was a plane attack. Now, Russia is saying Kiev deliberately shot down the plane carrying its own POWs. 74 people, including 65 Ukrainian service members, were killed in this crash. So again, you got to kind of feel into it for yourself, or just understand. In war, there's so many things that never get explained. And this is, again, part of the purpose of war. It covers up all sorts of atrocities that never get explained. They never get clarified. You have a massive tanker truck carrying liquefied gas explode. This was in Mongolia's capital. Killed 6, left 14 injured. And then over here in Russia, we have an oil refinery on fire as well. So, it's not just the U.S. and the NATO countries that have perhaps sleeper cells in place. No, this is, again, this is absolutely, completely a war against humanity. And that's what we have to view it as. Over here, we see Lebanese-Israeli border escalation between Hezbollah and the Israeli army. Israel was saying Hezbollah was using illegal materials in their strikes, and that's been an ongoing statement of multiple countries and Hezbollah and Hamas saying that Israel has done that with the banned phosphorus materials. Raid alert declared at UNIFIL headquarters, and you got Israeli drones fired a missile towards the outskirts of one town. It is expanding. It's pretty obvious this is expanding. The other thing this is going to do is it's going to lead to just an economic collapse like we have not seen and probably won't be able to understand. Real shortages will be coming, absolutely, and rationing. Rationing is coming. You will see rationing. So again, this is perhaps the last weeks that we have before we are facing a totally new set of living conditions.
It's not far, so that's why I think everybody should have your own, build up now. Yeah,
and again, weeks. I mean, whether it rolls out into 10 weeks, 4 weeks, 26 weeks. Again, it's not years out. This is not years out, and I think more and more people are coming to that realization. So they say almost 50,000 UK businesses are on the brink of collapse. Yeah, absolutely. But this is also part of the bigger plan, because the only ones that will survive this storm are the ones that are, the gigantic ones. And that's part of how the system is always making sure that it takes care of itself. It wipes out the mom and pops. It wipes out the smaller businesses. And, this right here, this is in the Marshall Islands. This is actually a military base, a U.S. military base, with these gigantic waves that come in. And, I mean, this was just huge. Watch this. That is scary. Was this weather warfare? Well, we'll probably never ever know, but it wouldn't surprise me. The more we look at all those little messages that the ancients sent us, maybe the more things are starting to make sense.
I don't know, it kind of looks familiar, and I mean, the things that are like literally carved in stone, or they're lasered into stone. I don't know, why don't we have more information on that? And this was cute too. This little guy here, he's gonna help. He's gonna become one of the people.
Yeah, I mean, this might not be that far off. This is a little CGI going on here, but again, it might not be far off. In reality, I wouldn't mind seeing these guys if all they're going to do is dance and not shoot you with a laser or something. But after watching that what was that on? Was it on Prime? I think it might have been on Amazon Prime. The War of the Worlds redo. These things were in there, and their one prime directive was just simply any stray humans, negate them, so to speak. But we are going to a totally new stage. I think again, 2024 is going to be a year where you want to get yourself kind of camouflaged. Blend into the background. Don't stick out, so to speak. Ride out the storm.
I think that would be a good idea.
Absolutely. And stock up while you're at it. Make sure, while we have the chance to go out and get what you're going to need and then return safely to your safe space.
Don't forget your pets.
Absolutely. Source bless. Look forward to your comments. Much love. Namaste.
Namaste.